In this final portion of our film series, I can complete the t-test. I now have the standard error of the sample means, and so what I'm going to do is I want the t-estimate, and the t-estimate, remember, is the quartile 1 mean for smokers' life expectancy minus the quartile 4 mean for smokers' life expectancy. Notice that the low smokers expect to live 80.09 years. The heavy smokers live 76.61 years. The heavy smokers have a standard deviation of 1.15. The light smokers have a standard deviation of 0.82. The difference of the standard error of means, which is like saying the standard deviation of the standard deviations, is 0.41. So the t-test then is going to be Q1 minus Q4, or if you want to make it if you simply wanted to make it positive, you could do Q4 minus Q1. I'm going to do it Q1 minus Q4 divided by our standard, this, and I'll actually even call this even though that's a very long name. We'll call it that so that we have it right there, 0.41 in step 4. So now here what we have is we're going to take L3 minus L4. Whoops, I should have put them in parentheses because I'm going to want to divide them simply by step 4 L12. And that then gives me a t-estimate of negative 8.54. If I wanted to know what t-value do I need to reject the null hypothesis of no difference, one of the things I've recently, I'm putting in the folder tonight, but it's also in it's an appendix in the Quirk book, is the t-table. And so if you go to the t-table, you will indeed see, trying to get it to come up here. Oh, here it is. There we go. So this is the t-table. I actually have sort of scanned it back in. Now you might ask how many degrees of freedom we have. Well, the degrees of freedom is simply the number of observations minus 2. So we actually have, in terms of, or minus 1 is the way Quirk does it for the t-test, I'm sorry, because we already subtracted in the denominator. So our sample size total is 24. We would then have 23 degrees of freedom, and we would need a sample t-value of 2.069 to reject the hypothesis of no difference. Well, indeed what we have is, I'm sorry about that, let me get rid of it, we have a t-test of, this is not cooperating, there we go. So we know that and we want to take the absolute value of this. So if we wanted to actually do that, one thing you could do is just do negative 1 times L. Oops. I can't see. Sorry about that. L16. 8.54 is clearly much greater than 2.06. So we would say that there's a significant, that we would reject the null hypothesis of no difference, and we would say that there's a significant difference between the length of life of the low smoking states at 80.09 compared to the high smoking states at 76.61. If you wanted to, you could then also look at, in the causal variables, is there a difference between the smoking rates, which range from 26 to 21% in the high states, compared to the low states, which range from just under 16% to just about 10%. And so I think you would find similarly that there's a difference there. So at this point, you would be able to say that you reject the null. You could do the scatter plot of the where the smokers